Representative Money, Representative about is the Texas economy. And I got to tell you this, there's no economy in America that's doing better than the Texas economy. Texas ranks #1 for the most new jobs. #1 is the best state for doing business. #1 for corporate headquarters and relocations and just a growing enterprise. We're #1 for cattle and cotton, for oil and gas. The list goes on. Under my leadership, the economy for Texas, the gross domestic product, are small businesses. They represent more than 95% of all businesses in this state, and we support our small businesses in the state of Texas. There are more than 3 million businesses that are registered to do business in the state. By the way, that's double the number when I took office. But it's small businesses like this one that are leading the way in the large number of most of those 3 million registered businesses. So what we did this session, we knew that small businesses are the backbone of our economy, and we passed laws to cut all the red tape and to lower the cost of doing business for our small businesses in the state. So it sounds like we have the owner of ETX Brewing Company. I'm going to mention something that he may give me an amen to. So the way Texas tax laws work is businesses like this, they have to pay what's called a personal property tax on items that are in their stores. Like if they have tables or chairs, which would normally be here, they would be taxed upon that. You see this beer-to-go cooler and that rack over there, they pay taxes on personal property like that they have in their location. When I became governor, there was an exemption on a certain amount they had to pay taxes on. It was an exemption on the first $500. Well, to be honest, that would be like one table and 4 chairs or something like that. Not a whole lot. Because of what we passed this session and what you voted to approve last Tuesday, that's gone from $500 when I took office to now $125,000 a year. It's going to put more money into the pockets of this business owner, maybe help him buy some more tables, buy some more chairs, add some more employees, grow the business, whatever. But we believe that money is better spent in the hands of our business owners as opposed to the hands of government, and that's what we delivered for our small businesses in Texas.
Amen. Amen.
I could go on all day talking about everything that we did this past session. I want to take a moment to talk about reforms I think are needed going forward. One thing that is a reality that we need to recognize, and that is there are affordability challenges that our fellow Texans face. It doesn't matter if you live in Tyler, Texas, Longview, Texas, Dallas, Texas, South Texas, or in the Panhandle. There are affordability issues. And one of the leading affordability issues is housing. It costs too much in housing. And what is the lead driver of that affordability issue? It's your property taxes. You pay too much in your property taxes. Is there anybody here who thinks they don't pay enough in property taxes? There's some people outside who think they should pay higher property taxes. Which is why they're outside and not inside. But listen, I want you to know I have 5 solutions that will ensure that we're going to resolve the property tax issue. Before I go into them, I need to give you the context. The context is, listen, everybody you're looking at here on stage right now, we did extraordinary things this past session to address property taxes in Texas. We devoted more of the money that we had in our budget toward reducing property taxes than any state's ever done in the history of the United States of America. We dedicated $51 billion to reduce your property taxes. And you're going to see that on your next property tax bill. But I can tell you right now what I think you may already think. And that is, that will improve your next property tax bill. But what's going to happen to the one after that? The one after that? The one after that? Because what you've seen in the past is those property taxes just keep going up. And that's taking money out of your pocket. I'm here today to keep more money in your pocket. So here's what we got to do. And to do it, we all need to come together and agree on a fact that will surprise some people here. The fact of the matter is the state does not impose a property tax. The only property taxing authorities are at the local level. So knowing that, one way that you stop property tax increases is you stop the spending that leads to property tax increases. Yes. If you had no increase in spending, you would not have any increases in property taxes. So know this, the state already has 5 legal limits that limit the ability for us to increase spending. The same must be true for every jurisdiction that imposes property taxes. They must live within their means, just like you have to live with your means. So priority number 1 is stop the excessive spending, contain it by imposing limits on how much they can increase your spending. Item 2, and that is, listen, sometimes you get a property tax increase without even knowing about it, without even having a say in it. That should not happen. You should have a say in everything that's going to affect your ability to stay in your own home. So I want to require 100% that every property tax increase must not only be voted on, but must be approved by 2/3 of the people who go vote in that property tax. And the next one is really going to amplify what my overall message is. The overall message is we need to take property taxes out of the hands of the taxing jurisdictions and put that into the hands of the people. We'll do that with that 2/3 vote. Here's another way we can do it. Have you ever gotten your property tax bill and think, man, that's too high? That should go down. I want to give you, the people, the ability to vote on rolling back your property tax rates. You can achieve your own property tax cut. The way I propose it could be changed, but the way I propose it is if 15% of the people, say in Tyler, Texas, you say you get 15% of the registered voters to sign a petition, you have a petition on the ballot to roll back your property tax rates and have an immediate cut in your property taxes. Next thing, I know from talking to so many Texans that when they receive their appraisal bill in the mail and they put their hands on that, their hands are quivering, afraid to open up that piece of mail, afraid of the large number they are going to see in their appraisal. That must stop, and it must stop this next session. Here's 2 reforms for appraisals. 1, there's no reason for you to have to go through that appraisal process every single year. You get your appraisal, you protest it, all that kind of stuff. As opposed to having an appraisal given to you every year, that should be reduced to only 1 time every 5 years. Second, the way Texas law works right now, your appraisal can go up to as much as 10% a year. That's one reason why you see affordability issues. That has to be stopped also. We must cap that not at 10% a year, but lower that cap to no more than 3% a year for your appraisal. And then last, if you pay your property tax bill, you know that the largest part of your property tax bill is your school district property tax. That's what's forcing so many people out of their homes. That property tax should be reduced to 0, and importantly, it should be the voters who have a right to vote on a constitutional amendment to eliminate the school district property tax in Texas. These 5 policies, these 5 solutions combined will ensure you're going to be able to live in your home the rest of your life and truly own your own home as opposed to renting it from government. I need to get this done. Let's go back in time. Some of you will remember in the last election, I said the time has come for Texas to pass education freedom choice for every parent and every child across the entire state of Texas. I said there was an easy way to do it or a hard way to do it. And the legislature took the hard way, and we went on the campaign trail and we elected enough votes to get it done. I'm committed to doing the same thing with regard to property tax reform. I am going to make this my primary point. I'm going to make it across the state, and we can do this the easy way or the hard way, but I can guarantee you we are going to get the laws passed that finally end your property tax problems here in the state of Texas. I'm going to put my name on it. I think it's right over here. Here we go. Sorry, Bob. Injury report. We got a sub. There we go. These are my 5 proposals right here. I'm committed to getting this done. And I'm putting my name on it. Let's fight. Yeah. I'll take a few questions.
Governor, when it comes to voters having a chance to vote on abolishing school property taxes, how will school districts be funded alternatively?
Sure. Well, first of all, the school districts will be funded by the state of Texas. If you go back to the reductions in, let's say, the increases in the homestead exemptions that just passed this November, that homestead exemption means less money will be going from local property taxes to schools. Instead, the state makes up the difference, and that's what would happen here.
How will the state get more tax money?
Sure. Well, so a very good question, and that is, to be honest, that should be up to the voters or up to a meeting or discussion among legislators. There's a lot of possible solutions to come up with the resources needed. I'll give you just one, a possibility. If you look at, say, just the last 4 years, the budget surplus we've had each of the past 4 years exceeds the amount it would cost to eliminate any school district property tax in the state of Texas. So that would be one possible way without raising a single penny more in taxes whatsoever. But I think, to be fair, the solutions should be something that we visit with voters about as well as members of the legislature.
What excessive spending are you wanting cities to cut back on that's leading to the high property tax?
So let me just give you one example. And that's because as governor, I live in Austin, Texas, and I see what they do. So if you look at the population of Austin, Texas, for the past 10 years, the population number has remained flat. And yet, property taxes have gone up 70%. They're spending far more per person than they did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever the case may be. And it's up to these local jurisdictions to decide where the cuts are. Again, in Austin, Texas, there was a proposition on the ballot this November where they tried to raise property taxes. 2/3 of the voters voted against it. And now they're having to go through that decision-making process about what they cut. Let me be clear about one thing that is not subject to being cut. A few years ago, there was a movement across the country and even in places like Austin and a few other cities in Texas, this defund the police movement. Let me tell you something. In Texas, we support our law enforcement officers, period. In the 2021 legislative session, I led the campaign to make sure we would not have cities defunding their police, and I signed a law that will defund any city that defunds their police.
Yeah, that's right. Governor, you have a lot of state reps here, lawmakers, and senators. Are you confident you have the support from the legislature to get these goals achieved? Because that's going to be necessary.
Sure. So I don't know of anybody in the legislature who doesn't want to reduce property taxes. And so we're starting in a good spot. And this is something they'll have the opportunity to learn about and to embrace. All I can tell you is what I told you earlier in my remarks, and that is I have a proven record that when I adopt an issue and when I insist that issue gets passed, I'm willing to do what it takes to make sure we're going to have the legislators in office who will vote in favor of the program that I'm promoting. And that's the same type of campaign I will be waging on cutting property taxes in Texas.
One more question. How will law enforcement...
Property taxes being lowered, how would cities be able to pay for like the roads and their law enforcement and their fire departments?
Sure, yeah. So the way cities are able to pay for what their needs are for their residents is the same way that you and families here go through their spending process decisions. And that is, they can't just go buy anything they want. They have to buy their priorities first and maybe their wants after that. Cities have to begin that process also. In other taxing jurisdictions, there is so much excessive spending taking place, and that must be reined in, and fund what needs to be funded, and then only after that, fund your wants.
There are lots of protesters outside. What do you say to this?
I think, candidly, if they were inside, hearing me talk about cutting their property taxes, they would be cheering right at this very moment. Thank you very much.